Hello, I'm Scott Leopold of Cooperative Strategies, and these are the facility master planning scenarios associated with District 6. This was presented to the public on March 21st at Ed White High School, and I'll now briefly turn it over to Dr. Green for a brief introduction.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Diana Green, Superintendent for Duval County Public Schools. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I want to welcome you and encourage your active participation. Our consultants recently completed a study of each building to evaluate its condition. This Facilities Condition Index report was shared at community meetings throughout the district. Now we are moving into phase 2 of this process, shifting the conversation from past and present to the future. This evening and continuing over the next few weeks, our consultant will share and discuss a set of ideas designed to provide our students with an outstanding educational environment. Because the draft plan involves almost every one of our schools, we will be rolling out segments of the plan of proposed scenarios in each of the 7 school board member districts. You'll be able to see the entire plan outlined in a couple of weeks. I want to reiterate that what is being presented are the consultant's recommendations, and these recommendations are over a 10-year period. We need your input as we work through the details and develop a final plan. Ultimately, I will present the board with a very bold portrait of our future, a future in which public education is firmly established as a tremendous asset for living and learning in Duval County. Since each presentation is by school board member district, you'll only see a segment of the entire plan. I want to point out district level highlights from the draft scenarios, which include construction of 30 new schools as either replacements on site or on new sites. 17 consolidations impacting 42 schools, with children from those schools attending new or renovated school buildings. Any buildings no longer in use as a result of the consolidations would be demolished and the land sold to prevent former schools from becoming future blight. Security upgrades at all schools and removal of the majority of portables from schools across the district. Cutting more than 5,000 student seats from the district's inventory and improving the district's facility utilization rate. I want to re-emphasize that this is a bold and long-term plan over a 10-year period. That's why your input is so important. If you like what you hear, tell us on the survey. If you have concerns, tell us that too. Your input will help us refine this plan and help me make the best possible recommendation to the school board. Thanks again for being here, and I look forward to hearing your input on these initial proposals.
Hello, I am Scott Leopold of Cooperative Strategies, and I will be taking you through the rest of this presentation. I would like to begin by providing some more detail and add some additional points to what Dr. Green has previously mentioned. This plan constructs 30 new schools through a combination of on-site replacements and new sites. This plan also upgrades school security at all facilities. This plan also removes the majority of portables from every campus. This plan performs major repairs to all facilities that are retained. The building age of all the schools in the district would be reduced by a total of 13 years, so the average age would go from 44 years old down to 31 years old. This plan reduces a net of more than 5,000 total seats. This plan performs 17 consolidation packages into new or renovated schools. This impacts 42 current schools that would go into either replacement facilities on their current site, renovations or new facilities or renovated facilities at new locations. This plan would also save millions in annual operational revenue. This plan would increase school utilization from 82 to 86%. This would also provide 27% of the square footage in the district with new buildings. So nearly a fifth of all square footage in Duval County would be new after this plan were to be implemented. And finally, this plan would remove $1.07 billion in backlogged repairs. The total cost to implement this plan would be $1.95 billion. That would be $922 million in improvement, renovations, and additions, and $1.03 billion in new construction. I now would like to go through some terminology that you'll see prevalent throughout this presentation. Enrollment. Enrollment is the number of students attending a school. For planning purposes, we used a 5-year enrollment projection to the 2023-24 school year for each school. Capacity. This is the number of students a campus can hold. It is defined by the state of Florida and does include portables. FISH, or the Florida Inventory of Schoolhouses. This is the state standard that defines school capacity. Utilization is the percentage that is calculated by dividing enrollment by capacity. Facility Condition Index, or FCI. This is the percentage that is calculated by dividing the identified physical deficiencies of a building by its total replacement cost. Consolidation. This is the action of combining 2 or more schools into one campus. This may result in 1 or more schools being vacated. Swing space. In some cases, some vacated campuses may be retained for use as swing space to serve as temporary locations for whole schools to occupy while their schools are being renovated or replaced. This slide provides some more detail on our Facility Condition Index. Again, the FCI is the percentage of the repair costs divided by the total replacement cost of a building. If a facility has a FCI of less than 5%, that is some of the best condition that we have in the county. If the FCI is greater than 65%, that facility would be a candidate for replacement. This slide and the following 2 slides just give us an example of what the utilization looks like at the district-wide level. This map shows every elementary boundary color-coded by its utilization, and this does include portables. So in the dark blues, we have the facilities that are less than 75% utilized, and that includes 43 campuses. We have 3 campuses at the elementary level that are greater than 105% utilized. It should be noted that this map only shows boundaries and their associated utilization, but there are additional magnet schools that may be over or underutilized that are reflected in our data, but aren't shown on the map because they don't have boundaries. This slide shows the middle schools. We have 5 campuses that are less than 75% utilized, and then 2 campuses that are more than 105% utilized. And finally, here's the high school map. We have 4 campuses that are less than 75% utilized, and we have 1 campus that is greater than 105% utilized. This slide shows our planned funding for all of these scenarios combined. This is the $1.95 billion broken out by board member district. As you can see, District 4 and District 5 account for nearly 45% of the total allocation. This is because Districts 4 and 5 have the most need. They have the most schools that are the oldest. Other districts like District 1 and District 7, District 2 to an extent, have less of an allocation because they have newer facilities that don't have as much need as Districts 4, 5, and even 3.
Now we'll begin to go through the detailed scenarios and the impact for District 6. The map on the left shows all of the schools in District 6. It should be noted that the boundaries for some schools extend into other board member districts. The background shaded boundaries denote elementary school boundaries, the orange outlines are middle school boundaries, and the purple lines are high school boundaries. The blue lines denote school board member districts. These scenarios construct 4 new replacement schools. Again, school security is updated at all facilities. Building age is reduced by 13 years, going from 46 years old down to 33. 21% of the square footage in District 6 would be replaced with brand new construction, and major repairs would be added to all school facilities that are retained. Again, the majority of portables would be removed. This increases the total capacity by 136 seats. There are 3 consolidation scenarios in this area in which students would go to new or renovated schools, impacting 11 schools on both sides of those scenarios. School utilization is increased from 85% up to 87%. You may wonder why we are increasing seats and also utilization increases. That's because in this scenario we have some enrollment moving to other school board member districts, and that's how the utilization does go up while capacity also goes up. This removes $90 million in repair backlog. The total cost for these scenarios in this area is $228 million, with $83.6 million in improvements and renovations and $144.7 million in new construction and additions. I will now start going through replacements, renovations, and additions. If you don't see a specific school on the slide, it's because it doesn't have a replacement, renovation, or addition, and we'll address it on some subsequent slides. Central Riverside Elementary is a modernization. Fishware Elementary is a 6 classroom addition. Hyde Park Elementary, a 20 classroom addition. That is a large addition because it is involved in one of our consolidations as a receiving school. Stockton Elementary is a 12 classroom addition. Venetia Elementary is an on-site replacement, which would consolidate Ortega. White House Elementary is an on-site replacement. Westview K-8 is a conversion to a middle school. This would consolidate a portion of Jefferson Davis Middle School, which is part of District 5. In order to accommodate those students that are in the elementary level of the K-8, we would have to construct a new K-8 in the same area as Westview in order to replace that capacity. Again, this is just going to be in that area. No site has been identified. We know it can't go on the existing Westview site because it's not large enough. But we would have to have an additional elementary site to replace that capacity. Lakeshore Middle School is a 10 classroom addition. Baldwin Junior Senior High is a replacement on site. This would be one of those scenarios where the new school would likely be constructed on the athletic fields, and then once the new school is complete, the old school will be torn down, and that location will become the site of the new athletic fields. Ed White High School would be a renovation and a 12 classroom addition, and it would convert to a 612, which would consolidate Stillwell Middle School. We also list Jeff Davis Middle School and Jeb Stuart Middle School because they're part of District 5 in terms of their location, but they do have implications in the actions in this area. Jeff Davis would be a renovation, and it would consolidate into the converted Westview Middle School and Jeb Stuart. And so those students would split between those two schools. Jeb Stuart would be a significant renovation. The Jeff Davis Middle School would be then converted to a K-5, which would allow for the consolidation of Gregory Drive and Normandy Village elementary schools. And so it would cease to be a middle school and be converted to an elementary school to serve, again, Gregory Drive and Normandy Village. Jeb Stuart would have a renovation and a 10 classroom addition. And again, it would then house some of those students from Jeff Davis at the middle school level. Here's a little bit more detail on all of the consolidations. Ortega Elementary would be consolidated into a new school at Venetia. One thing I do want to point out is that if you look at the Ortega zone on this map, it does have two different areas. It has one area that is located right around the school. There's another attendance area that is zoned to Ortega that is down here off of Collins. Those students actually have to drive past Venetia to get to Ortega. And so, again, Ortega would be consolidated into a new facility at Venetia. As far as the site for Ortega, this is one of those facilities that would be retained for swing space or perhaps some other district use. Normandy Village, again, this facility would consolidate into the newly renovated Jeff Davis, which would be converted into a K-5, along with Gregory Drive. Hyde Grove, which is part of District 5, would be consolidated into the newly renovated Hyde Park that has that large addition that we talked about. Stillwell would be consolidated into the newly renovated Ed White as a 612. That facility would be retained for swing space to help facilitate renovations and new construction projects around the area. Again, Jefferson Davis Middle School, part of District 5, would be consolidated between the newly renovated Westview 6-8 and the newly renovated Jeb Stuart Middle School, which is part of District 5. This table shows all the data associated with all of the schools in District 6. You see our school name, our 5-year FCI. Again, that's the facility condition index for each school. The lower the number, the better shape the school is in. The higher the number, the older or more repairs it has. We are symbolizing our higher numbers in those oranges and reds. This is our current 5-year utilization. This essentially shows if we do nothing. Just for example, Fishweir Elementary would be at 108% of its capacity within 5 years. So we address our identified facility condition issues. We put 6 classrooms of addition on there, and our resulting utilization is 87%. And so you can see this kind of shows you the current status on this side, what the action is, what the costs are, and what the resulting utilization is on this side of the table. As far as addressing utilization, that would be, or addressing FCIs, that would be simply remedying all the identified deficiencies in the facilities condition assessment, along with all the items that are scheduled to reach the end of their life cycle within the next 5 years. You'll notice, for example, in Bayview, the total deficiency cost is a little over $1.5 million, but our total renovation and demolition costs are over $1.8. That's because we have additional safety and security dollars allocated on top of the FCI that would increase those costs. And then you can see for facilities where we have the resulting utilization grayed out, we show a demolition cost here, and that is to tear down those buildings in those cases of consolidation, or perhaps retain them for swing space and then ultimately tear them down at the end. Again, there may be some special considerations for some sites due to some historical significance, but then this does show our total cost over here. This slide shows our replacement schools. If you look at the previous slide, you'll see that we show a demolition cost for Baldwin Middle High, but this is where we show the replacement. And so here's all of our information. New construction of over $52 million. Our resulting utilization is 83%. The new building will be much larger than the current building, I believe by close to 60,000 square feet. And so it will be right sized for that community with additional room to grow. This does show our reference schools from District 6, what their FCI is, 5-year utilization, and then what those actions are and associated costs and resulting utilization.
That concludes this presentation. Wanted to let you know that the project website is online. The URL is bit.ly/DCPS FMP, or you can use the QR code to the right. This includes all materials along with an online survey. Your feedback is very important to us. We want to know how you feel about the scenarios as they're presented. We'd also like to know if specifically if there's anything that you think that we could do better, any changes that you think that we can incorporate into any recommendations that go to the superintendent that you feel it will make it a stronger plan. The survey will remain active until midnight on April 2nd. And again, thank you for taking the time to view this presentation, and we look forward to seeing your feedback.